Chestnut Street and have the original traffic study be valid. His response was, if there are any major revisions that would significantly impact the truck route after the classification counts were taken, new counts would be required. However, and he attached a document from 10 years ago that isn't on the website, apparently, a Mass DOT document about traffic calming that says speed tables only have a moderate to low effect on truck traffic. So in his opinion, the counts would still be valid. But he deferred to, it goes to the district and then to Boston. So he made it sound like because the document he's referring to, that speed tables, or elevated crosswalks called speed tables, it has a moderate impact on traffic speed reduction. That's good. It has a low impact on traffic volume reduction. It doesn't really make the cars go somewhere else, and has a low impact on truck traffic volume reduction. So based on their regulation, it says it. So based on that, I guess the answer is, can we do parallel path and still be valid? Yes. And after the last meeting, I talked to the chief and some of the residents. The actual technical guidance for where to put these things and how far the spacing, there's nothing in Mass. New York State has some good information, but if the board's intent is to put 3 of them in, the spacing might be a little bit different than the crosswalks. For example, they do not recommend, in New York State, 200 feet from any intersections. You want to have it such that if there's a vertical curve or horizontal, so you can physically see it before you show up. So putting on a curve might not be a good idea. And minimum of 400 to 500 feet apart. So based on that, some initial thoughts are one at the kid spot, one kind of halfway up the hill, not at the intersection with, I forget the name of that street, and then about 200, 300 feet past that.
You mean past Upton Ave?
Yeah. So not 200 feet from, and I actually did a map, and it works out pretty good, roughly halfway up the hill, and then one.
Dick, can I just ask, what direction are you going? Help us out.
If the board chooses to put in the 3 speed tables,
Coming from, you're saying up the hill, what direction?
Coming
Where are
from
we going?
Moynihan's.
Moynihan's would be one at kid spot,
Yep.
and going up that hill, roughly halfway up before you get to the first street on the right, and then past there, about 200 feet past there, before the road turns. So from a...
Just before New Street and Cedar Street.
Right, about 200 feet up from there. The idea is to give it enough space so somebody can see it coming, even with signs. People miss them apparently. And if you make them too far apart, it doesn't slow down things. If you're too close together, it doesn't work as well either. So I'm having the recommendation was to have a spacing in the 400 to 500 foot range.
I'm just I'm trying to think of what the distance is between Cedar and Upton Ave, which is what you're talking about. You're talking just before one and just before the other.
I'm seeing close.
I assume that's up to them right there.
Yeah, then in the other direction. So we're
Because that's an app right there. So now you want to turn it around.
So, yeah, so he's talking about one before here,
Right.
and then one up here.
This is kid spot. Here is Upton. This is Central Street.
Yep.
This is Upton Street. So roughly halfway up the hill between Upton and Central Street. And another one roughly between the intersection of U, Chestnut, and Upton Street.
So Dick, if you want to actually see the picture, you can use the arrows and you can move it down the street.
It actually, as proposed before, I guess the one in the middle would be right by Mr. Foster's house. This would kind of move one down the hill and one past his house.
I think people want
There you go, yeah. But actually,
to pass that around.
It's in front of your house, Jim.
Then you want to see
One in
it.
front of your house,
That's where it would be.
and then one, your house. Yeah.
did you want to take a quick view of the people?
Yeah, sure. I'd suggest you let the residents take a look if you haven't shared it already.
These stick marks are 100 foot.
That's Doug's house.
Right. No,
That's
that's here.
That's right, okay, yeah. Right.
Monahan's over
So
here.
probably where we're about right now on this map.
It's Sable Street.
That's all right, right there.
And then,
Which way would we go down the street?
I think just that crosswalk Upton Street, it just seemed like that wasn't, from people coming off Upton Street, it just seemed like, according to that, it wasn't the best place to put it. But It's just guidance from the state of,
Now he's
nothing in the
suggesting.
state of Mass.
So, my question is, where are they gonna, when they go across the street, are they gonna terminate on sidewalks, or are they not gonna terminate on sidewalks? These are crosswalks.
You can do this.
No, they're actually speed bumps.
All right, speed bumps.
The intersection with the crosswalk and kids walk, probably will be a crosswalk.
So, Mr. Chairman, so we're not talking about
Okay.
So perhaps.
integrating this with the crosswalks any longer. Before we were talking about integrating it with the crosswalks.
Typically, you're
Totally off of that.
asphalt top of the curb is like 6 inches. It can be a little lower than that.
So these are speed tables.
I think the one,
Even kid spot,
even kid spot,
it's gonna be close, but I don't think so.
Again, the chief is here, but
Bob?
we all feel that.
I thought I heard him say one of them would probably turn out to be.
Some of the crosswalks don't line up the sidewalks
The
anyway.
the only one that may is
So it's kind of
is
arbitrary.
kid spot, the other two
Okay,
are.
misunderstood.
So if we're going to do them.
Good.
Because
First you all
it's-
said
according to
there
that
would
criteria.
be just speed bumps.
But I'm open if anybody else, I'm not a traffic engineer, so I'm going by what I read.
Now, are these gonna be speed bumps like they get down at Kitty's, or are they gonna be?
Oh, God, no.
Just,
No, a speed bump is something, it's going to be roughly 20 feet long, 6-foot ramp going up to about 3.5 inches, 10-foot flat, and then 6 feet down. So it's designed, the ones at Kitty's or North Shore Mall, you hit that at 5 miles an hour, you get jarred. It's supposed to slow them down enough that it would, cause them to slow down, but not cause the vehicle to be tossed up in the air, a safety issue. And it's also, part of the speed tables are from a public safety standpoint, ambulances, fire trucks going over that, police cars. It's not gonna kill them also. So it's designed to, people see it to slow down, but it will not be a kiddie speed bump. of any sort.
Mr. Chair, if I may. Yeah, I think we made a lot of progress here. We're going to wrap this thing up tonight. I just have two things that keep running through my head. And they're only, these are risers, not bumps, correct? And technically, they're gonna be
Yeah, a
like
speed
riser.
bump is typically something that's 6 inches high.
That's right, yeah, of course.
Go to Somerville, go to Cambridge, they're all over the place,
Right.
not
I
that
have
big.
just two concerns I think we should all at least be aware of it, okay? Empty trucks that hit these things may cause a lot more noise than you anticipate. That's a concern. All right, the other thing is, young drivers might use that as a mogul for late at night or what have you. So those are the only two things that keep coming into my head. You can't control those things. You know what I mean? I understand that, but it's very conceivable that can happen. So, but I mean, I just hope, and we're all in agreement here, it seems, that we want to bring this to a solution that works. So I'm with you on that. I just, I'm concerned. Yes. Mr. Chair, I think someone wants to speak.
Hi, sorry, Doug Lab, 130 Chestnut Street. I had some, Selectman Prisco had sent over a copy of the 2000 report that we're all sort of referring to in terms of the traffic calming. After reading it, the back page, I came across a company's name that one of my partners in business works for, and asked him if I could speak to the engineer that was on that page, and spoke to him at length. A couple of things that came to mind to him, first off, was the report that we were issued from 2000, or the study that was done, is superseded by one that's written in 2006. So I'm not sure why we're going back to 2000 when they have 2006. There is some guidelines that spell out in that, which if I had read this 4 or 5 years ago, I think we'd be going about this differently. One of the key parts to all of this is to actually have an engineer from the get-go, traffic engineer, that's looking at this with us in terms of suggesting all the different remedies, as well as starting to think about where the traffic can go if there is an exclusion. So his recommendations are his thoughts after sort of where we are in the process and sort of the time period without going back and starting over. His recommendation is what they always try to do is start from the smallest amount of change and keep adding stuff to try to eliminate it without doing the big, huge, drastic thing. So in that regard, he said, if you move forward with the raised side crosswalks, you may find that you do eliminate it. He said, there's nothing that's going to say that they're going to eliminate it. They may. And if they don't, then we would look at, or as an engineer would look at it as, okay, well, that didn't work, so maybe we add curb cut-ins or parking, or they look at all the different things that were on that 2000 report, and they keep adding them to eliminate. We're not going to do all that, but the idea was, okay, so what happens? We put the raised crosswalks in, have we changed anything? And his answer was, no. What you do is, after you've done it, 2 or 3 months after, you do another traffic count. And in doing that traffic count, you now have supporting evidence from the beginning, before it, and you have the information afterwards, and then that all gets put in your proposal when you ask for the exclusion. His statement, which kind of got my attention, was, and he sent me and I forwarded it on to Selectman Prisco, was to do a traffic study, depending on how in-depth it is, and I don't know how in-depth ours was, it's $500. To have it analyzed enough to get the information in terms of trucks and that sort of stuff, maybe add another $500. That comes to a total of $1,000. Our traffic study, as far as I know, cost us $7,000. My curiosity down the road is, how did we get from a $500 traffic count to $8,000? And what did we get for that $8,000? Because what I forwarded to you includes, and I forwarded you his whole block of writing, included a lot of stuff in terms of presentations and the engineer showing up at hearings and all of that. So that's a lot of money that we spent for a traffic study that I don't know that we got the $8,000 value for. That being said, $500, we do the traffic count, get it analyzed to see how it compares to the first study, and if it doesn't work or we still feel there's enough trucks, then we move forward at that point with the truck exclusion. But make the small change first, at least that's my recommendation. I don't know. Some of them are hearing this for the first time. And that's just sort of what I caught up to. He also forwarded me, and I sent to Selectman Prisco, the engineers of a particular company that actually does these traffic studies, and it lists out all of the items of what they get.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I mean-
I'm not privy to what was sent to Michael.
I haven't looked at it, I just got it, so
So, but I mean, $500 for a professional engineering firm generally doesn't go too far. So it's nice to say it costs you $500 for this and $500 for that, but I haven't seen anything. It seems
Well,
pretty
I
pretty
think-
inexpensive, but if it's, that's the price.
That's for the traffic count, and then, you know, what you get after that to the 8,000 is all of them showing up in meetings and showing up and providing testimony and that sort of stuff, and analysis. But he has it from one of the gentlemen that was on the back of that survey study, and I'm trusting in that engineer, if he's being cited in that his information that he forwarded to me, that I forwarded on.
Can you make a suggestion that you forward it through the website, you can, DPW Director, Town Administrator, and the other members of the board too, or Michael, you can forward
I
it,
already did.
you know, forward it to everybody so that we can take a look at it and take
Yeah,
advantage
no,
of the
Mike said he forwarded
the
it as well.
information.
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to
Oh,
jump back in.
no problem.
In that also, he has highlighted a way to go to the state, which I'm sure you're aware, that talks about the different types of roads and what type of road, I forget the terminology, rural connector, collector roads, and all of that, and it shows that, and that's sort of what would then come into play when it's asked for an exclusion, and us being a yellow, which is the rural collector road, and Park Street, or 62 being green, being there. It was information that the engineers sort of would look at and use to evaluate, and that we would have to consider when we're going for that. And it was just